What's going on, everybody? Hebinx here. It's been a while since I made my first Mystic Quest Rando video for how to use the site and generate a seed, and since then we've had some major updates. So, instead of replacing the old video, I wanted to go ahead and just make a new one that covers the whole process again and also shows off some of the new features we have in dev. Starting from the very beginning, make sure you have a legally obtained copy of the North America version 1.1 ROM, preferably in SFC format. I can't tell you how to get that, but y'all are pretty smart, so I'm sure you can figure it out if you Google it. Once you have that ROM, head to ffmqrando.net where we'll generate our seed. Starting at the top left of the page, we have our sandwich button, which can be used to hop to specific sections of the page. You'll also see links to our community Discord, GitHub page for the randomizer, and a quick link to the beta access site. We'll be checking that out later. Before diving into the rest of the site overview, I did want to mention a quick change to the randomizer that hasn't been applied to the site quite yet. Wakewater has been changed to where you'll no longer automatically use it upon entering Aquaria. Now, once you have Wakewater, you'll have to go up to the plant in the city and press your interaction button to thaw Aquaria, instead of, hitting the cutscene and watching Ben walk up to the plant. Now that that's out of the way, in the preset section we have custom selected by default. This option will let you tweak each setting of the seed individually, as the name implies. Right below custom, we have export and import. If you found a set of settings that you like that aren't covered by presets and you want to share them with somebody or just get them out there, and you want to keep running seeds like that, you can use the export option to save those settings as a YAML file, then import them when you want to generate a seed or share it with friends. Below the custom settings, we have a list of presets. These are community submitted seed customizations tailored for different styles of play, from beginner seeds to everything shuffle, which is pure chaos. These seeds will show you what's been customized, but you won't be able to edit anything. So if you like a preset but you want to make some adjustments, you'll have to take note of what you like and adjust those in the custom drop-down option. In the generation section, we have fields where you'll select your ROM file and then roll your seed. The site does use cookies to store your ROM location, so you won't have to upload it every time you want to generate a seed unless you delete those cookie settings. The flag string field is where you can verify you and someone else are running the same seed settings. Each time you change a setting in the customizations, that string ID will update. You can also copy a string and send it to a friend if you want to share your settings that way. Alright, on to customizations. To start, we have the items section. This is where you'll tweak the logic of the seed and location priorities. For logic, we have 3 settings: friendly, standard, and expert. I won't be going into specifics for each option we go through, but that's because we have these awesome tooltips that break down each option for a setting. On PC, you can hover your mouse over the question mark icon for each setting for more details. On mobile, you'll have to tap the question mark. The next 3 fields are for item locations, and you'll have the option to either prioritize, include, or exclude a key item check, except for the original chest options where you only have priority and include. Key items are weapons, crests, spells, or anything that's not a consumable like a potion, seed, heal potion, or refresher. If you choose to prioritize a location, you'll always find a key item in that location. So if I prioritize NPCs, every NPC that would normally give me an item in vanilla will give you a key item. If I set that option to include, an NPC might hand me a key item, or they might hand me a consumable, like a refresher. A quick note here that I'll elaborate on later: Skycoin shards are coded as consumable items, so keep that in mind if you're doing a shard hunt seed. Lastly, we have exclude. If this option is chosen, NPCs, for example, will never give a key item, and you can remove them from your options to check. One thing to note though, if you exclude either NPCs or battlefields, the seeds will move those key items to a random brown chest location in the world to make sure that all items are available. With that being said, I'd recommend getting familiar with brown chest locations before setting either of those to exclude. Speaking of brown boxes, if you want to shuffle key items in the brown box locations, just set the original chest flag to include. That'll make your seed a brown box shuffle seed. On the right side here, we have Skycoin mode, and this is effectively your seed type selector. Often you'll see in the Discord people reference a seed as a shard hunt or save the crystals or whatever type of seed, and this is where you make that decision. And again, I'm not going to go over the specifics of what each option does, because there's a tooltip that does that for you. Lastly, we have our toggles for shuffling brown box contents, starting with a random weapon, or having your gear acquisitions be set to progressive. Quick note about random starting weapon and progressive gear. If you choose random weapon, it will always be a tier 1 version of that weapon, so bombs, steel sword, cat claw, or axe. You're never going to start with mega grenades or the dragon claw. For progressive gear, this only impacts weapons and armor. Spells aren't affected by this option, but there might be a separate toggle for that coming in the future. We'll see. Once your item options are set, we're on to enemies. Here you'll be able to set how many enemies will be on a floor, their stats, if their position will be shuffled, and the Randomizer options. I will note under density that 0% does in fact mean 0. So if you choose this option, the only fights available for you are going to be battlefields or bosses. For the enemy scaling selections, you'll notice that there's 2 drop-down options. The left field will be your minimum, and the right field will be your max for stat percentages. So if you set standard enemies for, let's say, 50 to 125%, all non-boss enemies will have their stats shuffled in that range of 50 to 125% of their vanilla values. If I set both the left and the right fields to the same number, then enemies will only have that set value. Boss scaling works the same way, but just for bosses. Lastly, we have the Randomizer and progressive formation options. The progressive formations option is really only used if you're shuffling the map in any way. If you're not running a map shuffle seed, then just leave this on disabled. The Randomizer is your option to change enemy attacks, so if you wanted to mix it up a bit and have enemies use different attacks than what they normally do, this is where you adjust that. I will say that if you intend on running a bingo seed, use the simple shuffle setting since it's the only one besides standard that doesn't remove any attacks from the game, like self-destruct. On to maps. We've got a few options here to change the layout of things. For Doom Castle, we have 2 options to change the sections past the sky door to be a simplified staircase instead of what you'd normally find in vanilla. And we have the option to make a shortcut to the castle that basically removes the need to go get a bunch of items like Max Hat, Thunder Rock, etc., and instead generates a staircase from the base of Focus Tower to the final dungeon. This option also generates an alternate route on the first floor of Doom Castle that makes Go Mode no longer require Mega Grenades or the Dragon Claw by adding a skull bridge to the top right of the Shifting Sand section. Tweaked Dungeons and Map Shuffle are also available here as well as Crest Shuffle. Lastly, we have the Other and Preferences section. In the Other section, you can adjust miscellaneous things about the seed like how strong you want your leveling curve to be and battlefield settings. Also wanted to point out that if you toggle the Generate Spoilers file option, the seed hash will change. This was done to discourage situations where someone could say, generate a seed and then send it to someone, then go back and have all the same settings but then generate a spoiler log and essentially cheat. Under Preferences, we have some purely cosmetic options. Changing anything here will not impact logic in any way, so if you toggle something here, you don't need to worry about your hash changing. If you wanted to have a race with a friend and they wanted to shuffle the music but you didn't, you don't have to worry about them toggling that option. Nothing's going to change logically for your race. Once you have everything set, go ahead and scroll back up to the generation section, and if you've uploaded the correct ROM file, you should have this generate button here that you can click to download your seed and your spoiler log file if you toggle that option on. Now, you may notice that the ROM that's generated is about twice the size of your original, and that's because we have an MSU1 patch built into the generator, which will enable MSU1 functionality. A quick explanation of what that does is that it enables you to have CD quality audio for Mystic Quest instead of the original SNES OST. I won't do a deep dive on MSU1 patches here, but if you're interested, check out zeldix.net for more information on that or a new player room in the community Discord. The last thing I wanted to go over in this video is the beta version of the Rando site. This is where you can go and try out any new or upcoming features ahead of time. I will say that anything in the beta site is still subject to testing, so If you crash or softlock, just know that that's the risk you take when making a beta seed. The beta site is completely open to the public, and you don't have to be a community member to access this. However, I will say that if you want to help contribute new stuff like sprites or report errors you find in the beta, we do have a bugs and development room in the Discord where you can post your seed URL and let us know what happened so we can improve the rando and apply fixes before fully rolling out features. Hopefully this helped you get a little more familiar with the randomizer. If you're new, welcome. I hope you have a great time. If you're already a part of the community, thanks for watching. If anyone ever wants to have a casual race, feel free to hit me up on the Discord. I'm always open to have a good casual sit down and voice and just race the game.